Hi, it's me, Reidy, with another helping of Beat the First Man for you. Coming up on today's show, Little Shouty Man makes a return. We're also joined on Zooming In by the author of the book We Go Again, Tim Cooper. How Old goes back to its happy place, and we've got absolutely loads more for you. So what are we waiting for? Roll the titles. Yes, time for episode 71 of our show then, and as I bore you with every single week, thank you so much for watching. If you are new to the show, please click subscribe down below. If we're all on board the BTFM bus, let's get going, because what we love is your interaction. So comments down below, hit what you think. Also drop us the likes, because we like those. They're a little pat on the head for me. It's been a while since we've done one of those, but most of all, just enjoy the show and share it with your friends. Let's get the message out there. So let's get going as we go to How Old, and it's time to unleash another one on you, and we're going back to our happy place. Happy place, How Old, Scotland. It is a happy place where we go for How Old footballers, because they do give us some of the best. So if you are new, we put up a picture of an old footballer. All you have to do is guess how old he was when the photo was taken. So this winger is a man who started his career at Clydebank, where he made 60 appearances, scoring 8 times before earning himself a move to England, where he switched to Southampton. He soon settled with the Saints. He played 78 times for the Saints, scoring twice before he went on loan to Bristol Rovers and finally making a move down the M4 to Swindon Town. He only actually made 27 appearances for the Robins before injury struck, and eventually returned to Clydebank before he made one last career move, where he moved to Hibernian, which is where the photo you're about to see was actually taken. So never mind all those appearances and those silky wing skills and his knee injuries. What we want to know is when this photo of Jerry O'Brien was taken. How old was he? Answer will be revealed later on in the show when Ted will be there to join us. So, Little Shouty Man returns. So, Little Shouty Man, it's fairly straightforward. I'm little, I'm a man, and I'm going to get shouty about something in football, which is getting on my tits. Right, Premier League postponements. Yes. So, where to begin? So let's get one thing straight. The Premier League have made a rod for their own back by postponing games in the first place. That's where it all went wrong, and now they have literally dug themselves in a massive hole. So the whole rule, as we're explained, you have to have 13 fit and available players who have Premier League experience. Again, a caveat thrown in, which has completely dropped them in it. We're going to take some examples. I'm not picking on certain teams, but they're just examples where it shows up the lunacy of this whole thing. Let's start with Leicester City. Their recent game against Everton was called off. In their squad, they had one COVID case, yet their game was called off because of unavailable players and unable to field 13. Well, it's funny that, because the 4 days before in the FA Cup, they managed to field 17 players. They had 16 players, 11 and 5 subs. 16 players who were all available. Now, admittedly, some of those were youngsters, but the youngsters weren't available for the Premier League? No, because of the little caveat of Premier League experience. Bullshit. Utter bullshit. If they're good enough to play in the FA Cup, they're good enough to play in the Premier League. Let's move on to another one. Arsenal. Now, this one's been in the press quite a bit over the last few days, the game against Tottenham. So they played Liverpool on the Thursday in the Carabao Cup. They were due to play Tottenham on the Sunday. Now, they may well have had a bout of a few COVID cases. I don't know. The information has not been made transparent, as always. But the reality is, let's say they had 5 for sake of argument. Any idea how many players Arsenal have registered? No? Any guesses? 84 players. 84 players Arsenal have registered. To show the utter lunacy of this, the game that was postponed on the Sunday, on the Monday, Arsenal loaned a player out. So they had not enough available players to pick a team. They loan a player out the next day. It's utter madness. The Premier League have just utterly dropped themselves in it. Teams are now taking the piss out of them because basically now they're just getting games postponed. As long as they got one COVID case, which is all you appear to need, teams are now getting games called off so they can have their strongest available side. And what really takes the mickey is if you haven't got COVID cases, and I'm using my team as an example, Leeds United last weekend, no COVID cases, 9 players out injured. Could we call the game off? Of course we couldn't, because we had no COVID cases. Well, that's football. That's how it should be. Now, I'm sorry, Premier League, but it's time to draw a line in the sand and say postponements are no more. You are no longer calling games off. If we're led to believe that the next set of restrictions are going to be dropped on the 26th of January, that is the ideal time for the Premier League to say, we are now drawing the line under the sand on postponements. If you haven't got players available because of COVID, because of injuries, tough. Get on with it. Play your youngsters. I would rather see my team play the game and get whooped having a go with youngsters than getting a game postponed. We had 2 games postponed over Christmas. I genuinely would rather we'd played them both and lost them both, giving it a go with young kids. That's just the way it is. But it's a utter shambles. They've made a total and utter arse of it. For all the money in football, how they can't get a few people to make a simple decision like that is beyond me. And don't even get me started on false positives. What manager could have used false positives to get a game called off? I can't think. He's German. He manages Liverpool. Anyway, road to Wembley. So we had a double road to Wembley blast last weekend. Let's start in the FA Trophy. High-flying Halifax Town, who are our team. You may recall they were away at Alfreton Town. Well, a close 1-1 draw saw the game ended up going to penalties. But our boys, the Shouty Men, they got through on penalties for the second round on the bounce. Their prize for winning against Alfreton is a mouth-watering class. They are at home to fellow National League side Notts County. So we are still with Halifax Town in the trophy. Moving into the Vars, we're behind Hamworthy United, who took on Glebe. I would say no clue, but watch zooming in. And at 2-0 down at half-time, it was looking like we were going to be following the boys from Glebe. But no, the Hammers weren't done. A brilliant fight back in the second half saw them win 3-2 and clinch their place in the next round. Their reward is another home tie. This time they're up against Tunbridge Wells. So it's still Halifax, it's still Hamworthy. As Beat the First Man goes on the road to Wembley, Wembley. We'll beat the first man, we're on the road to Wembley. Anyway, after a weekend of fixtures and point scoring, I think it's time we head over and see how things are standing now in Dad v Lad Fantasy Football. So, Dad v Lad Fantasy Football, we're back. There's been some fixtures, there's been some points. Kian, how are we?
Yeah, I'm all
right. First of all, Kian, I do think you owe a certain football team an apology.
I don't know which one.
Well, let's just rewind to last week when you said about West Ham and how they were going to stuff Leeds and how they were going to store goals, and I'm putting him in it. Would you like to apologise to the Leeds United Football Club for their impressive performance?
No, not really, no, because they've given me that much shit throughout all my years of living that I'm allowed to think they're going to be shit. So, no, I won't like to apologise.
Let's also point out to the watching viewers, the last 2 games where Leeds have won. What have you been doing here?
I've not been watching.
You've not been watching? Why haven't you been watching, Kian?
I've been at work.
Yes, he's missed both games.
Don't worry, I'm back on Saturday.
So this week at home to Newcastle, Kian will be locked in the shed whilst I watch the game. Anyway, let's get on to the real reason why we're here, fantasy football. So last week, the points score was Kian, aka Lad, 41, me, aka Dad, 36. So you beat me by 5 points, but I've been robbed, massively robbed.
Go on.
Neil Mopay's goal that got disallowed on Friday night that there was nothing wrong with, and he was
he fouled a foul,
and he was my captain. Jack Butland
dropped a push though, wasn't there?
Into his back.
Technically, this week's not over though.
Well, no,
because there's still the double game weeks.
I know, but we're recording this on Monday night because I've got so much to do that we're having to record it on Monday night.
I mean, my captain's still not played.
Well, I've still been robbed. I'm not having it anything else, but I've been robbed big time. Now them cheats from Burnley are trying to get another game called off. That'd be me. Watford not playing either.
They've only played 17 games.
They're gonna be playing games till about June.
Anyway,
let's look at next week's team. So let's start in goal. Still Edison for me. I can't drop him. They're away at Southampton, but I can't see him conceding any at Southampton. So Ramsdale staying on the bench.
Edison's staying in for me as well. I mean, Foster's got Norwich at home, but he doesn't play, I don't think.
No.
So we've gone for Edison.
Defence, I've made one change. So I've got Diaz is still playing, Southampton away. Rudiger, Tottenham at home. I've brought in Gabriel because they've got Burnley at home. And I've dropped Reidy on because they got Chelsea away. And Connor Cody, they got Brentford away. Shout out to Connor Cody, who scored his second goal of his career when he's in my fantasy team. What a man. So, who's yours back four then, Kate?
My back four stayed the same because I think they did all right the other week. So I have Diaz in there still in Southampton, Alexander-Arnold, Rudiger and Ben White. But he's kind of just there to make up the numbers. Yeah.
Fair enough. So we'll move on to midfield. So I've made a change in midfield because Bakary Sacco is injured apparently. So I've taken him out and I've brought Rafinha back in. So I did take Rafinha out when Leeds games were getting called off. So I've brought him back in now. So my midfield, I've got Rafinha, Newcastle at home.
Yeah.
Diego Jota, who've got Crystal Palace away. Mason Mount, who've got Tottenham at home. And Bernardo Silva, Southampton away.
So I've got Bernardo Silva, Southampton, Jota against Palace, Rafinha against Newcastle, and then Bowen against Scum.
So you've got, mate, it's only basically Bowen and Mount are only different players.
Yeah.
And then up front, I've got Dennis of Watford at home to Norwich, and I've got Mopay of Brighton away at Leicester.
I've got Antonio at Man United because Man United are shit. Let's just put that out there now. They are awful. So what they're going to score? West Ham are going to score. And then Dennis as well against Norwich. Right,
okay. So who are we going for as your captain this week?
I've not picked yet, but after looking at all the teams, I'm probably going to go for Dennis against Norwich.
Oh, interesting.
Because I could see him, I think he'll score at least one. Because Norwich are not very good.
Well, I've gone for I've gone for the Brazilian genius that is Rafinha. Newcastle at home. Yeah. Newcastle cannot keep clean sheets. I realise now this could backfire badly, but I do think Rafinha as captain is going to get me some points this weekend against Newcastle. I can't see him not having an assist or a goal. I just can't see it.
If he plays like he did yesterday, then.
Yeah, so I've got Rafinha as captain. I've gone Diogo Jota as my vice captain. So who have we got as your subs? So I've got Ramsdale, Reguilon, Salah, who I've left on the bench because I'm not getting rid of him, and Timo Pukki.
To be honest, I'm a bit screwed if anyone doesn't play, looking at my team. So I've got Foster, obviously the keeper. He don't really start, does he, anymore? I don't even know.
Don't think so.
Watford. And then Romeo, who?
Yeah, Southampton. He played on the weekend.
I think he scored the other week, actually.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Simicas doesn't play.
No idea. Don't even know what team he plays for.
He's Liverpool.
Oh, he's the fullback. He's Robertson's.
Yeah. He's not very good.
Yeah.
And then Gelhardt, who's now injured.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's a very strong bench.
So let's have a look then. The overall gap as it stands on this Monday night, the overall gap, you have 1136 and I have 1041. So it's 95 points as it stands. That's a pretty healthy lead.
It's quite a good gap.
Although I've still got that free hit to play.
Well, if captain, so have I.
Yeah, but I've still got my wild card to play as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I just need to actually work out what those things mean.
You've got Captain Kane is in, so he's going to score whenever they're playing Leicester.
Right, we shall see. So, Kian, you're back later on with some music. What you got for us this week? Single, album, band? What you got this week? Or don't you know?
You put me on. You know what? I actually mentioned it last week, which is just going to give it away.
Well, don't tell anyone, because some people, unbelievably, Kian, there's some people won't have watched last week's yet. Kian,
No need for that.
have we watched last week's yet?
Not yet. It's only Monday.
Shocking. It's been
It's
out
only
for 4
Monday.
days.
I've been busy.
Unbelievable. Kian, thank you very much. We'll see you later on in the show with your listen up. You can turn the computer off, record your video, and then go and watch the episode that you should have watched when it came out on Thursday night. What a disgrace. Yellow card, fine, the whole shebang.
I wasn't in on Thursday.
And please note, teams of the Premier League, there's no call off of Dad v Lad fantasy football, no COVID cases or weakened sides. We're both here getting on with it. So for now, Kian, we'll see you later on in the show, and it's back to the show. So there we go. Kian extends his lead slightly. I'm recording this on Tuesday night, so there are a couple of games being played between now and next week's, and obviously the weekend's games, but he's just in front. As I said many times, there's a long way to go yet. At the top, Gary Hamilton still continues to lead the way, and at the bottom, there's still no change. Back next week for more Dad v Lad fantasy football. So I think it's time we had a bit of this. The name game. Yes, the name game. And as you know, we've switched it around. We're now on 5-a-side team names that have been used across the country, across the world, across the universe. And I want to see some of you lot using them. So here's your 5 for this week. Strap yourselves in. Number 1, for all you postmen and postwomen out there, Royal Mail Drid. Yeah? See what we did there? Number 2, Buyer Lever Arch File. Good. Like that. Number 3, FC Copen Badley. Very good. Very good. Now, number 4 and number 5 are very similar, but brilliant in their 2 separate ways. Number 4, Barcelona. Very, very good. But number 5 is even better with a nice twist. Bear Barcelona. Very good. We're liking those a lot. So come on, remember what we said. Get some screenshots of you using these 5-a-side team names in competitions. Fire them on the social media. Let's see a Bear Barcelona being used in 5-a-side football over the next few weeks. Zooming in then, this week it's a bit of a twist. We were joined by football enthusiast, groundhopping extraordinaire and author when we discussed Tim Cooper's book, We Go Again, along with many other things. And of course we let him choose his 5-a-side team. So here's Zooming In with Tim Cooper. So this week on Zooming In, we've got a bit of a twist. We are joined by football enthusiast, groundhopper extraordinaire and author. Yes, a man who has published a book, Mr. Tim Cooper. How are we, Tim?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yes, not too bad at all, thank you.
Good.
I think what we should do, the honourable thing, is to start with your book. So I have a copy here, which is Catching the Light. Your light is a lot better than mine for showing the book. So it's called We Go Again. Your story of 119 matches in one season in various footballing outposts, not only up and down the country, but around the world. So the simple question is, why?
Right. I was under the misconception that I could write a book, I think. That's why. The longer answer is I did, it's changing sport completely. In 2016, I followed the Tour de France for the entire race, just myself in a car, and I started writing blogs back, and I didn't get told to stop. People kind of enjoyed them, and they were the same kind of thing, like a bit silly in places, but a bit on the history, a little bit on the sport, and it just kind of went from there. And I love watching football, been doing it for years, and I thought, I wonder if is there a book? Everyone thinks there's a book in them. So I think, I thought I'd give it a go and see how we went. I
have to say, it takes you from ridiculous places, there's some, and I can't remember the name of the team, the one that you love in Wales, I think it was. Is it Garou or
Gara, yeah.
It takes you from there, who I'd never ever heard of in my life, to some place in the Far East, to a place in France that you're not meant to be going to because a game gets the wrong kickoff time. But it's all it's brilliant, and it's such a different idea for a book. And there's a few other things I love about it as well, which we'll come on to. But so how did you decide which grounds you were going to go to, or was it a kind of spur of the moment thing?
It was kind of spur. I got lucky. So I travel for work. So the games in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Italy, the sort of Fiorentina and Spezia, they came about a little bit through luck with work. Aldershot is kind of, I think someone described them as my anchor club. So Aldershot up here, yeah, the anchor club is probably close to something else. But so they not a great season for them during the book. Other than that, it was kind of, yeah, just what took my fancy really, what was available. Gara, because I'd seen it, I think I'd seen it come up on the Facebook group, and it just looked astonishingly beautiful place to watch football. So yeah, that was for them. So it really was it kind of really is an eclectic group of like Man City. So I went to Fulham Man City purely because someone said one day, "Oh, I can get you a ticket if you want." Well, that's a perfect one to write about because it's so different to all the others.
It's completely one extreme to the other, wasn't it? Without a shadow of doubt.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, the things that I love about the book is it's all the little ditties. For example, describing the quality of a tea hut, the teas, the car parking traumas that anyone who has ever been to a non-league football match in their life can 100% relate to. I mean, the car parking thing, where'd you start? Because we can all put a ground sat nav into our postcode into our sat nav. Then you've got to find somewhere to park. And if people think football league parking's difficult, they ain't seen nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, I think on one we got locked in because we'd parked in the wrong car park, though it was so close to the ground. And while my mate drove around seeing if we could break out of the car park, which there was no way we were going to do it, I was talking to the chairman of the home club, who was ringing the key holder of the hockey club to come and let us down while the players were in the bar eating garlic bread. And a word had got round, so someone's like, "Yeah, is that the bloke whose car's locked in the car park?" Yeah. And it's like this is falling into my lap. This sort of nonsense happening. It's like one of them. I was standing at the tea bar, minding my business, and there's a whole conversation going on because the lady who owns the pens to write the names on the team sheet is in the bar, but no one can leave the tea hut because they've got to serve the tea to go and get the pens to write the teams up on the board. It's like, okay, thanks very much. This is perfect. Thank you.
And the thing is, the book is full of those little stories. It's genuinely, and it's like some things almost happened for your benefit for the book, but it's clearly not, because we've all been to grounds where all those things have happened. And I'm sat there reading it going, oh my God, yeah, I remember when I went to such and such. That was exactly the same. And we've all seen it and heard it. It's just, it's brilliant. I love it.
Even so last Saturday, I'd never seen this happen before. It was a very step 7. It was. I can't remember the reason I was there. And the referee stopped the game and he said, "Can someone bring some water on and disperse this pile of sick?" Because one of the players had literally just been sick and they wanted to soak the pile to spread it out. So when they played around it, no one would run through it. And I thought, do you know what? I've watched 1,500 odd games in my life. I've never seen that happen. Thank you. Throwing in these little new things.
Oh, superb. So there's a couple of other things. I like the fact you don't name check players particularly. It's always so-and-so's number 9. Now, was that a double-edged sword? Is that the fact that A, you might bump into them again somewhere else, or B, you really didn't want to be writing down all the team names for all those matches you were at?
I think it wasn't important.
Yeah,
because it wasn't about that. I think I was. It's in the same way. I don't rate anything. I don't grade anything because no one cares if I think that the cup of tea was 7.5 out of 10 that evening. And so in the same way, the players were part of it. It's not a match report.
No,
it's more about. I think there are 3 or 4 players in the whole book that get name checked, and they're in the Arsenal Man United game. Because it was fairly obvious to know they were. It's true. I don't know who number 9 is for Spellthorne. To be fair, I don't. But, so in a way, it was probably easier. But even the shots players, and because on a couple of the shots players, I've not been particularly nice. There's one that I'm not very nice about. So when they started selling it in the club shop, it was a tiny bit awkward that he was going to read it. I was proved right. It's absolutely proved right. We should never have signed him again. But I think it's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to bring a love of the game out more than being just a diary of me watching lots of football.
Yeah, and you definitely get that vibe 100%. But we are going to have a little bit of story time, because there's one little part of the book that I absolutely love, and it's match 84, which I'm not expecting you to recall what match 84 is. So
No.
it's Aldershot 0, Salford 1. Aldershot 0 is quite a common feature of this book. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you talk about the owner of Salford, and then you say the remaining 60% is split between a motley crew that I haven't come across before. So I tried to do some research on each one. This is absolute gold. So Phil Neville is the brother of England's football coach Tracy Neville, netball coach, sorry, Tracy Neville.
Yeah.
Gary Neville once managed Valencia horribly unsuccessfully for 4 months, which can't have had anything to do with his experience in football management and his ability to speak Spanish, of which he had neither. Nicky Butt played 3 times for South China in 2010. I didn't know that. Paul Scholes had recently finished a guest stint as manager of Oldham. He played the role of manager for 7 games before moving on. Ryan Giggs' brother Rodri used to manage Salford. That's what it's all about, that book. It's brilliant. It's just so perfect. And there's a bit about Beckham being a pretty boy, and a few other bits about Beckham and Inter Miami.
Easy gig. Yeah.
That bit that got me in, and that was where I was really like, I am fully into this book. It's perfect. It's and I like the fact you don't mind laughing at yourself as well during it. There's occasions in the book where you clearly are mocking yourself at certain points. For instance, trying to get in and out of a car when you're clearly struggling with your back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was horrible. Yeah. No, but I think you can't, you can't take yourself too seriously, because, it's silly anyway, isn't it?
Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my favourite match of the book, I sat there, I finished the book yesterday, and I thought, right, and which one is my favourite game? And I went through them. I quickly flipped through to think if there's any, and there's a 5-5 draw in there. I won't spoil that for people who haven't read it. There is a 5-5 draw.
What a game that was.
Yeah, and there's some classic FA Vars action near the final part of the game. But my favourite, without a doubt, is match 119. And I'm going to get the team names because it's only right. And it is, no, it's not 119.
117.
117, you're right, because there was the Vars finals. So Hereford Palace and FC Roast played at Wormwood Scrubs, pitch 3.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, and there's a bit we had to take out. So I make it sound much more highbrow than it is. But I've got a friend who works for a newspaper, and he said to me one day in passing, I'll review it for you. I'll spell check it, edit it. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
He didn't. I don't think he realised how bad my spelling and grammar and structure of sentences and all that stuff is. And it took him weeks and weeks. And there was one bit in that game where he said, I don't think legally you can say that, because there's a reason why it gets to, there's a penalty. And the bloke who's gone in goal, one of his mates says to him, if you save it, I'll buy you all the pot you want. And and he said to me, you can't put that. You can't put that. That'll get you in trouble. But yeah, it was amazing. It was like a throwback to all my Sunday league days of playing. I used to play at the Scrubs, so it was quite of a nice one to do. But yeah, it was a balmy game. And I still think I could have played in that, surely, even now.
What was your favourite game of the book?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask it. I think there's a couple that live on. The Fiorentina Sampdoria, which finished 3-2 with a very late winner, and it was Chiesa. Frederick Chiesa was playing, and he was incredible. Yeah, and so I really loved that. The whole trip was great, but Saudi was just, as from start to finish that day, being taken into this stranger's house. The cousin of the bloke I was going with playing for the club and suddenly coming out with this signed shirt. Couldn't get in the ground because we didn't have the tickets because they were locked on the team coach. Yeah. And then getting in, he was the most reserved, quiet man I'd ever come across. And as soon as the game started, he was gone. He could not control himself. And it was just so, and all that with the experience of the evening as well. That was incredible. But that 5-5 draw was just one of the most astonishing games I've ever seen.
Wow, I mean, it's an incredible read, let alone anything else. But yeah, it'd have been a nice one to have been at.
It's true. At the end of that, when they blew the final whistle, it was Ramsbottom and Fylde. They blew the final whistle. Everyone literally just stood there. The players stood there, the referee stood there, the crowd just stood there and went, what have we just watched? What have we just played in? What on earth was that game? And you want them? They carry on, just carry on. We'll keep going because it was so good. Keep going, keep going. See, I can talk about them forever. I love doing them. So it was just kind of great to.
Oh no, it's brilliant. And I say, anyone with a love of any type of football will really enjoy the book. So, how many grounds do you think you've been to now, Tim?
You make it sound like I don't know the exact number.
I know you know the exact number because I know you've got an app. And anyone that reads the book will download the app and do exactly the same thing and see how many they've got.
It's funny. One of the people. So the two people from the app that I meet in the book, one I'm just gone past. Yeah, which is quite an exciting moment, and the other one has become a really good friend from just kind of from meeting him at the at one of the games. So it's 576 is my number.
That's impressive going.
It's all right, but it's still I'm a pup in the world of the the big numbers. Yeah, but I'm still young. I'm making my way up.
Yeah, plenty of time to go. Yeah. So we're going to have a little yes/no game now. Oh. So I have got 10 grounds down here. And you did say off air beforehand that I'm about to really upset your week because any that you say no to are now going to be added to the list. Yeah. So hopefully you'll have done some. Then I won't feel so bad because if you've not done any of the 10, I'm going to feel really guilty because they're quite spread around. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
So number one, Glebe from the Southern Counties East League Premier Division.
Yes.
Good effort. I'd never heard. Well, they are my Road to Wembley FA Vars team was Hamworthy United, who beat Glebe on Saturday. And part of the show was I had no idea who Glebe were or where they were, so I actually had to Google Glebe today to find out who they were.
It's down Kent. It's Kent, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've been there, so impressive work. So Hamworthy United from the Wessex League Premier Division.
No.
There you go. There's your first one.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night. Yeah.
Adderbury Park of Hellenic Division 2 North.
Oh, you've gone weird. Hellenic. No.
Oh
no.
Well, I've been kind because it's only just off the M40, so it's quite a gentle one.
Yeah, it's Hellenic.
I could have given you some horrible Hellenic ones. There's a lot of horrible Hellenic ones.
Yeah, see, there's all that kind of Raw, Wootton, Bassett, Hereford area Hellenics. Yeah, bit of a blind spot.
Now here is one. So friends of the show, a club that have featured on our show for over a year now. They used to be just called Stoke Gabriel, but now are Stoke Gabriel and Torbay Police.
Oh come on, no.
Right,
no.
you got to add that.
1-3.
You got to add them to the list. Wallingford Town, the combined counties Division 1.
Yes, a 0-0 draw. I went this season.
Oh, good work.
Because I'm finished. I'll finish. This is really tedious, but I'll finish that division tomorrow night when I go to Hilltop.
That's impressive.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Bradford Park Avenue.
No, it's on. Oh no, that's massively on the list. There's a lot of history there. So I was going to save them for if there's ever a second book because they're the sort of ones you want because there's a lot of history to talk about there. Yeah.
Tonbridge Angels or Tunbridge Angels.
Tonbridge, yes. Went there with Hampton. Back in the day before they were Hampton and Richmond Borough, and we lost 3-1 in the FA Cup.
There we go. So we're at 3-4 at the moment.
Went on the team coach to that one with Hampton.
There you
go. Back in the day when fans went on the team coach.
Yes, I remember those days well. So we've got 3 to go. I've got a National League, a League 1, and a League 2.
Well, I'm going to do really well then, unless because I've done the 92, so I'm happy on the last.
All right, the National League's a pretty nasty one as well. Wrexham.
Yeah, you see, it's shots, isn't it? So the racecourse ground, I've been there. Beat them 2-0 before they suddenly became multi-millionaires with their Hollywood
the American dream.
Yeah, they did thrash us this season. But anyway,
Burton Albion.
Yes, went there with all the shot when we were in the league.
And just leaves Port Vale.
Yes, Arsenal in the FA Cup. Went to penalties, beat them, and we were leaving Port Vale about 11:30 at night and going at 3 in the morning or something ridiculous.
Beautiful.
And went to work the next day. Yeah, I saved myself at the end then.
So a 6-4 win to you. So I've given you 4 nice new shiny grounds to go and see as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah. I don't need any excuse, but that's a good one to have.
So before we go on to your 5-a-side team, one question we need to ask: where are you going tomorrow night?
So I said I'm going to see Hilltop versus. Oh, who are they playing? They're a weird one. They share with Hillingdon Borough, but they're a team. Somalian.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, I from that background, and they are currently top or joint top with London Lions, who are Israeli background. It's all going on in the combined counties this season. But their pitch is it's like because they share, and it's constantly soaked. They just have games called off all the time. So I'm not hopeful we'll end up on the app looking for something else at about 5 p.m. to work out where we're going to go. Yeah,
we shall see. Right, the 5-a-side teams. Now, it's fair to say you are going to have hundreds and hundreds of players to choose from, having been to so many games. And not, of course, all following one club, which makes it a little bit more tricky, I think. But it does give you a wider option of players. So we'll start as usual. Same old rules. You have to have seen them live. It's a goalie, defender, 2 midfielders and a striker. So in true style, high budget show, piece of paper and a pen to write down your team. So I could put some nice fancy photos up. So who are we going for as your goalkeeper, Tim?
So there's been a long debate internally on all of these. And with the keeper, I wanted to give a nod to the non-league life. And I've got a date, I've got a match as my audit trail. So we're going back to Torquay Aldershot in 2008, when the Shots won 2-1 to cement the promotion, pretty much cement promotion. And we had a keeper called Nicky Ball, who was, he just, when a keeper just, it works. He's not the best keeper in the world, but when he played for us that season and while he was still with us, you just knew it was Nicky Ball. They're not going to score because we've got Nicky Ball. And he's one of the very rare footballers I've ever actually come across outside of football. I was at Lakeside Darts that January, and 6 of the Aldershot first team were there. 5 of them were standing, just minding their own business. Nicky Ball was on a table, slaughtered, more drunk than anyone I've ever seen in my life. Just singing, shouting, security trying to get him down, but he was gone. He was absolutely gone. 3 days later, he's keeping a clean sheet for the Shots. So he's my keeper.
Not a name I've heard of. The first one chosen, you won't be surprised to know, but I will find a nice shiny picture of Nicky Ball in an Aldershot kit for the show for Thursday.
Good work. Good work.
Let's head. I'll try not to get the one of him in Lakeside stood on a table.
If you could, well, yeah.
So we'll move on to your defender.
So there's a little backstory to all of these.
That's good. Right. We love those.
So I didn't want to go all Arsenal because obviously I've only been Aldershot for about 10 years, and before that I'm on loan. My heart's on loan to the Shots. Prior to that, lot of Arsenal, and I didn't want to kind of go all in on Arsenal because Tony Adams would be a very obvious choice. But I think at 5-a-side, by the time he's got his legs to actually move, it's all gone on round him. It's not going to work. I needed someone a bit more agile. And so we're going back to the Champions League final of, am I allowed to check the year?
Of course you can. Notes? You carry on.
All right, 2006, I should have known, 2006 in Paris, and it's Barcelona Arsenal. And Carlos Puyol, because he's my kind of player. I read a lovely quote while I was looking up this, and he described him as he played with his heart on his sleeve and his hair in his eyes. And I just thought that was perfectly described him. He's the sort of player he's not leaving that court until there's no sweat left to be sweated. There's no tackle left. If you want someone to slide 10 yards across to block the shot, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
So I got Carlos Puyol. He's just my sort of player. Not the one from those Barcelona and Spain teams that you'd go, who's your best 4 or 5 from the team? You haven't gone Puyol, have you? You've gone Xavi, Iniesta, and whoever else. You've gone Messi if you're going to go that route. But he's won World Cups, Champions Leagues. He's one of the most decorated defenders in the history of the game.
Yeah.
But he's never really. But he's turning out at the Walton Leisure Centre Thursday night 5-a-side league Div 3 because we're only just starting out. We're only at Div 3. So Puyol at the back. There we are.
Love it. And not the first person to choose him. Someone else has had Puyol. I can't remember who it was, but someone else has had Puyol on their team.
Good.
So there we go. You're not alone. But I couldn't agree more. I think Puyol, Barcelona, Sergio Ramos, Real Madrid, both players totally epitomise what, as a fan of those clubs, you want.
I nearly went for full-on comedy value, Pepe. because I hate Pepe more than life itself. I can't get on. He's like Casemiro there now. My other half's going to laugh because every time he comes on, I shout a rude word at him. But just anyway, but I didn't. I kept it pre-ar.
Right, let's start with the first of your two midfielders.
I'm sure this one's come up before. We are going all Arsenal for the next couple. So the game I've picked from him was Arsenal Sheffield Wednesday in October '96. Wenger had just arrived. I don't know if he'd actually arrived. He took over, but I'm not sure if he was there or not. And after about 20 minutes of the game, I think it was 20 minutes. I'm getting old. There was an injury, and they brought on a sub. And standing on the side of the pitch was this gangly, thin, tall, young lad who looked completely out of his depth. And after 5 minutes, everyone in that stadium knew that Patrick Vieira was going to be something proper.
Yeah.
Again, got a quote. It described him as the thinking man's Carlton Palmer, which I don't think if there's ever two names that should be so far apart, it should be Carlton Palmer and Patrick Vieira. Just everything you want from a midfielder. All right, there was the Giggs pass. We could have stopped him winning the treble that in '99 in that semi-final.
I think you can let him have the one.
You can. He scored. He used to come into the box late and score. He used to smash them in from 30 yards against Newcastle. He would pick the ball up from the back foot. That's why the Arsenal defence was so good, because Paddy was always there to take the ball, move it on, just get on with the game. I would possibly go. He was the best player I ever saw for Arsenal. And there's a lot of names. There's a couple of names that are going to come up in the honourable mentions.
Yeah,
that would argue that's not the case. But
him and Petit next to each other were just incredible. I mean, they complement each other so well. And Vieira had everything, and he was so strong. That's the big thing I remember. He was just they couldn't get the ball off him because he was just so strong. And he comes across, I have to say, when he got the Palace job, I instantly tipped Palace to go down, rather naively. Probably wasn't alone, to be fair, but what a job he's doing at Palace. He's completely changed their playing style in the space of no time at all. They're sitting comfortably in mid-table. He comes across as a genuinely really nice fella. He may well be an arsehole, but he comes across as a really nice fella.
Well, I don't think Keane's a fan.
No, probably not.
but he had that ability to be almost have silk and steel, didn't he? He could be incredibly graceful moving across the pitch. And in other times, when he needs to be, he could be a hard, nasty piece of work if he wanted to be. And as I say, he could then turn around and score from 30 yards or break through and go round the keeper. And he was one of the ones. I had this thing that always really annoys me when people boo a player that comes back. And I think they did it I remember Arsenal doing it with Fabregas, and you just want to say, are you joking? Vieira and Fabregas gave so much to that club, and they've moved on, but they were never Arsenal. It's not like they were born in London and played for the club and said they'd never leave. And you just think, come on now, surely you can at least acknowledge that they were, so Paddy's top 10 players of all time for Arsenal.
Yeah,
it's just Anyway, that was a side rant.
There we go.
That's one of those things that.
So anyway. Next to Mr. Vieira, who we go? Oh, it's got to be Keane, surely, next to him.
Well, it should be Petit if it was going to be anyone. We are going back to Man United Arsenal, October '91, and a goal by my first ever football hero. Playing for Arsenal. I first went when I was 8 in 1980. He wasn't around then, but he joined. He probably started coming through around 86, 87. You had Davis, Thomas, and you had David Rocastle.
Yeah.
And that kind of collection of players. And Rocky did this thing where he'd skip over with one leg, skip over with the other leg. And I chose to try it in the park. I couldn't do it. I'd fall over my own feet. No idea what was going on. But I just loved the way he carried himself. He was quite quiet and reserved. And then all of a sudden would hit the ball from 30 yards with no backlift, and it was in the net at Anfield or whatever it was. But that game against United, that's the one he beats the players in midfield, lobs Schmeichel, and then it comes back off and it goes in. Just just an amazing goal. So Rocky was my first real kind of hero for Arsenal. So he's in there. It's kind of the two Arsenals, the early ones, and then the ridiculous and honour to be watching them 2000s Arsenal.
I always felt very sorry for Rocastle because obviously he notably signed for my team Leeds, and he was signed to replace Strachan, who at the time it was considered that Strachan was on his last legs and wasn't going to do another season. And the reality is Strachan went on for another 2 seasons right at the top of his game, and poor Rocky just could not get a run of games, and it just never really worked for him the way it could have done. And he could have been so good for us. And I was, and everyone was gutted. Everyone wanted it to work because he was another who just came across as a lovely, lovely bloke. And everybody, nobody had a bad word to say about him even when he left, because, you know, they understood. And he was just very unfortunate with the timing of when he joined, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously very sad what happened to him. And he's in. Him and Vieira.
There we go. That's it. So whoever's playing up front is going to be scoring an awful lot of goals because there's going to be some serious opportunities coming his way. So from your plethora of strikers, who have you pulled out of the hat?
Right, we got to do honourable mentions first.
Okay, go for it.
So I know, and the one, you know, I was thinking about this. I've seen, you know, a Classico with Messi and Ronaldo, Milan derbies with Baggio, Galacticos playing with Zidane and Figo. It's a ridiculous, and so the forward was really difficult. But I have to mention the ones, if I've got time to mention my little honourable mentions. Big Ronaldo, who I think on his day, and I'm not entirely sure I actually saw him, so that's why he doesn't even get considered. But on his day, when he was in his Feyenoord, is it Feyenoord he played for? That's good. PSV. Sorry, PSV.
And then went to Barcelona, didn't he?
That's all right. Feyenoord and PSV won't mind if I've muddled.
No, of course not.
He probably played for Ajax. Chuck them all in. There you go. That's going to live. I'm going to regret that forever now. But when he went there and he went to Barcelona, and it was just the physical brute force that he would just, the speed as well. He had everything. But anyway, he's not in. 3 Arsenal players. Going to mention very quickly. Carnu, who never really gets a mention, but just bewilderingly skillful.
Yeah.
I remember him scoring a goal against Deportivo in Europe, in which he beat the keeper by not touching the ball. The keeper kind of looked at him and he swayed and did all this, and the keeper just went, fell over, and Carney just rolled it in. You know, we don't even get into the Chelsea hat trick, that ridiculous hat trick.
I mean, that would never be forgotten, will it?
No, incredible. And there was a goal I always remember it was an Olympics. It was a semi-final, and he had his back right up against the keeper. He had his back to the keeper, and the keeper could see it, and he made a lunge for it. And in the time he took to lunge, Carno had flipped it up. The keeper went under it, and the ball's gone. And Carno's turned around and volleyed it into the back of the net. It was like, that was just Carno. That was just what he did. He had no idea, I don't think, what his feet were doing next. You know, but it worked. Other very ones, Henry. Come on, you know. Probably Leeds on a Friday night. Henry was your worst nightmare because didn't he score? But anyway.
Yeah, moving on. He was being marked by Michael Dubry in our defence.
Yeah. And wasn't it that awful penalty him and Perez conjured up? Wasn't that against Leeds?
No, that was was it Man City, that one?
Oh yeah, it was the fullback, the one who doesn't matter. Matter. The other one who has to get a mention because his goal against Argentina in the '98 World Cup is my happy place. If ever I need just cheering up, the Dutch commentary of Bergkamp's goal against Argentina in '98 is just the place to go. It just makes me happy. And you know, he was also that. He was that professional's professional, wasn't he? When the professionals look at someone and go, "You're just so much better than us." Yeah. Dabasas is still trying to work out
where he's gone.
Where's he gone? He wakes up in the night. I don't know where it is. But none of them got in.
This is going to be impressive.
Well, I don't know. So it kind of tied in. I remember Football Italia, when Football Italia started, and it was this most exciting thing because it was you didn't get to see it very often.
No,
you know, football abroad, and there was a player in that who it didn't matter what week it was, he would score. It was always going to be a goal, and I just thought he was. It just, He played at Wembley against Arsenal for Fiorentina in the Champions League in the very ill-conceived time when Arsenal played their Champions League games at Wembley.
Yeah.
and Batistuta bore down on Seaman, and in just the most perfect way, he kind of lined up, and he thought, "What should I? Oh no, I'm just going to smack the sodding thing," and he just smashed it into the back of the net, hair flying, machine gun all over the place. And I just thought, you're the boy. You are the expert. He always scored for Fiorentina. It didn't matter if they were 3-0 down. He will pop up with a goal where he's lashed it in. And if I've got Vieira and Rocastle feeding and Batistuta's not even thinking about anything else, he's just going to smack the thing. That's all you need. The Walton Leisure Centre is not going to know what's hit it with Batistuta flying around.
I can't argue with that one. He was an absolute... There was two that I loved when that Football Italia first started, because I think we're probably for the same sort of age range where Football Italia was incredibly exciting when it came on. As someone who's 5'6", I loved Beppe Signori. Signori for me, he was just a magician, and the things he could do against these. I mean, and these were Italians that were allowed to tackle, and boy did they tackle. And little Signori would just go past them time and time again, and always end up curling one into the far corner every time. Yeah. I love them both in two different ways.
Me and my other half happened to find ourselves in Rome at the back end of the season where Lazio won the league, when Signori was playing up front for them. And they beat Bologna 2-0 that day. We happened to find ourselves in the Olympic Stadium. It's incredible. I don't know how these things happen.
What a stroke of bad luck.
I know. It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. Where are we going today? You would not believe it. Luckily, she loves football, so it was fine.
Oh, that's okay. You struck gold.
Yeah.
Tim, I've absolutely loved this chat. It's been fantastic. We could have gone on for hours and hours, but I'm too tight to pay for the Zoom Gold subscription, unfortunately. So we only ever get 40 minutes. Where can people get hold of the book if they want to get hold of it?
Through me.
Yeah.
That's the only way, through me. Drop me an email or go to my Twitter, which is at WeGoAgain4. And they can get the book through there.
No problem. I'll put a link on the on my Twitter page after the show goes out, so you can find Tim if you want to get hold of the book. It's well worth the read, genuinely. If you love your football and you don't want to read about all the Premiership fancy dans, this is the book.
Well,
for
a couple of them.
There are a couple of them, but not many.
Yeah.
There really isn't many. Just for the story about Gara. Just for the story about them, and you'll instantly want to go there, because I do now want to go there. Even though I would never have had any desire to do so before the book, but I do want to go and see it now.
Cool. Good. That's the aim.
That's the goal. Tim, enjoyed it a lot. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. And we look forward to the follow-up book in a couple of seasons' time.
Yeah, why go again?
Yeah. But for now, from me, Reidy, and Tim Cooper, it's back to the show. There we go then, fascinating read. There's the book. It's called We Go Again by Tim Cooper. 119 matches in one season. As he said, if you go on my social media, I will tag Tim in there so you can find him and you can order the book for yourself. It's a great read. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Next week on the show, we're back with the musicians. We are joined by Alex Ohm. So another one to look forward to next weekend as we get some more musicians on board. But the sound of furry paddy feet can only mean one thing: the ever popular Ted and his usual murmurings on the week. How are we, Ted? All good, Reidy? Another wonderful week? Wonderful, Ted. What rolls that word out for the day? Life is wonderful, Reidy. You need to embrace it more rather than moaning about COVID postponements. Ted, that wasn't me. It was little Shouty Man. He's a character. He's part of the show. Reidy, I can think of another word for him, which isn't character. No, Ted, well, let's not go there. Well, he is. He's a No. We're not going there. So anyway, have you got any nominations for this week's Little Knob of the Week, Ted? Let us know. Nobody came close. There was just one winner. Nobody was touching him. Have I missed something, Ted? I doubt it, Reidy. You're a bit of a nerd. Rude. Well, I want to take you to the African Cup of Nations. Now, there have been a few incidents of note over there, I won't lie. So what have you picked out for us, Ted? Reidy, trust me, nothing came close to this clown. Oh dear, I fear I know where we are going with this one. The Mali v Tunisia game, and step forward referee Gianni Sikazwe of Zambia. You need to get your countries right, don't you? Zambia, you do the words. Anyway, I know why you want it so easy now, Ted. So if you haven't caught up with this was an absolute beauty. It was a controversial game anyway. There'd already been 2 penalties awarded, which VAR had got involved in both. Anyway, on 85 minutes, our man decides, I've had enough, and he blew the full-time whistle. Now, the Tunisians, who were trailing 1-0, were not happy, clearly. They kicked off. Anyway, the referee was pointed out the error of his ways, and he decided he would play the extra 5 minutes. So the game continued. Literally within minutes, the Mali substitute, Toure, was sent off for a foul. Now, VAR got involved and they said, no, Mr. Referee, you've got that one wrong. You need to come and look at the TV screen. You've definitely got that one wrong. He shouldn't be sent off. Our man, Mr. Sikazwe, walked over to the screen, had a look and went, off you go, and sent him off anyway. He went against the VAR decision. But he wasn't done there. No. He turned up the heat even further. So with 89 minutes on the clock, our man decided, my work's done here. And he blew for full time again. Not content with blowing up on 85 minutes, not content with blowing up on 89 minutes, he blew up again. Basically, there should have been about 8 or 9 minutes of added time, what with the VAR stoppages, the arguments over the penalties, the arguments over the 85th minute full-time whistle. He played not even a minute of added time. In fact, he didn't even play the full 90. Anyway, the Tunisians went batshit crazy. They were all over the referee, pushing and shoving and lots of arguing going on. Anyway, the ref was having none of it. He strolled off the pitch. Half an hour after the game had finished, the officials of the AFCON decided to pop in and tell both teams, actually, you need to come out and play 4 more minutes. To which the Tunisians pretty much went and said no. Said they were doing their ice baths. They lost 1-0. They were going to complain. They did complain, and Mali got awarded the game all the same. So absolute farce. But it's fair to say, comedy gold all round. And Gianni Sikazwe, you are without a shadow of a doubt this week's little knob of the week. Are you done, Reidy? God, you didn't half bang on there. Well, there was a lot to get in, Ted, anyway. Are you back for How Old the Reveal later on? Yep, got it this week for certain. Ooh, confident talking, Dad. Confident talking. Anyway, musical interlude time now as we are treated to the light of what Kian says. Listen up to.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another Kian Says Listen Up, where I give you a song to listen to this week. Might not come out this week, but this one has. Well, last week, but technically this week. Oh, I don't know. But this week's song is Jackie Down the Line by Fontaines DC. They're an Irish band. You might not have heard of them. They're quite big though, so you might have as well. But yeah, I'm not really too sure what to say about it, but it's a great song. They've got 2 very good albums and another one coming out in April, which I can't pronounce, so I can't tell you what it's called. But I have pre-ordered it, so you should too. They're at Leeds Fest and they're playing quite a few festivals, I think. And I think this is their year. If this album goes well, I think they'll go on to bigger things because they've got quite a big following already. So Fontaines DC, Jackie Down the Line, that's my song this week.
There we are then, in case you didn't catch it, it's called Jackie Down the Line by Fontaines DC, so why not head on over, give it a listen and see what you think. So, Lineal European Cups, so as with last week, just the Lineal European Cup up for grabs. The boys from Armenia, Bielefeld, defended their trophy against basement boys in the Bundesliga, Greuther Fürth. An early goal by Messiah Okugawa. 2 weeks running he scored, and I know that because it's bloody hard to say. So Bielefeld in front early doors, but they were stunned when a goal 10 minutes before the break by Jamie Lewelling, followed by one midway through the second half by Havard Nielsen, had Firth 2-1 up. Anyway, knowing how much the cup meant to them, the boys from Bielefeld dug in, and with 6 minutes remaining, Gonzalo Castro struck for a 2-2 draw to ensure they retained the cup. This week, they face a tricky trip. They're away to Eintracht Frankfurt on Friday night. Can they make a second defence of the trophy? 1 more week to go in Hungary, and then the Lineal UEFA Cup will resume when the boys from Debrecen will step back out onto the field defending that trophy. Which leaves us with just one thing. It's the return of Ted, which can only mean the reveal of how old from earlier. Now, Ted, you were very confident early. So what brings you with this new confident attitude? Or have you been looking at my laptop again when I've been doing it? How dare you, Reidy? I've worked it out. Really? How? How have you worked it out? Wrinkles. Count the wrinkles, work out the age. Really? So this is a scientifically proven method, is it, to work? Well, we'll see, won't we? Okay, Ted, we will see. Let's have your guess then. 32, Reidy. Well, let's find out. So when this photo of Jerry O'Brien was taken, I can reveal he was 29 years old. So Ted, your theory is what is commonly known as a crock of shite. I must have miscounted the wrinkles. It's not easy without fingers and toes, I will have you know. As excuses go, Ted, that is right up there. I'll give you that. So we'll see you next week. I'm sure it was 29. Okay, Reidy, next week. And with that, he was gone. And there we are then. We're all done for another week. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. As always, if you haven't done so already, please click the subscribe down below. And if we're all on board the BTFM bus, then it's ding ding. Next stop, Thursday, the 27th of January, for what will be episode 72. And as always, people, stay safe.